We've come up to Nobles Park with us, the council leader David Christian, and this is a good news story.
Yes, there's a good news story. We've managed to achieve 2 green flags for the Borough of Douglas, one for Nobles Park and one for the Sunken Gardens on Douglas Promenade.
Explain what that is though. What is a green flag?
It's not just a national, it's an international award, and it's for parks and green open spaces. And the judges will come over and they look at the overall quality of what you've got to offer. So in this case, they came over, they looked at the overall environment, they looked at the quality of the work, they looked at whether that was sustainable in the future, they looked at eco things involved with the job that you do. Have you got a proper management and plan for your parks and gardens? It's a very strict criteria with about 8 different areas that they look at. This is the first time the borough's actually applied for them. And I have to say that I was a bit sceptical, and I did turn around and say that for these type of awards, they'll come over, they'll judge us, and they'll turn around and say, very nice, but this is where you need to improve upon. I met with the judges and they said that it was very unusual for the leader of a council to actually come and meet with them, so that showed that the borough was committed and wanted to try and achieve these awards. And we got notification on Monday to turn around and say that we hadn't just got 1 green flag, that we'd got 2 at the very first attempt, so we're very pleased.
And we can see the flags are literally hot off the press. They've arrived and they'll be going up as we talk almost. As far as ratepayers of Douglas, they want to see bang for their bucks these days, and obviously your budgets must be hit. Yet you can produce this sort of beautiful landscapes and the amount of work that goes into this.
They can. We've always had a lot of credit for the Parks Department, and to be honest, when the rate demands go out, it's one area where people never phone up and complain about their money being spent is the parks and gardens. Obviously you've got to deliver a quality product, and it's quite clear from looking around the adjacent aisle, and I was away at a conference recently, and you could see where standards are slipping over there now because the parks and gardens are one area where the cutbacks are hitting. We've tried to maintain it in Douglas, and with the head of parks, Dave Hewis, and his team, they've had to look at how they can deliver more and work smarter with the same amount of money that's available. So this year we've achieved the 2 green flags. It's an annual event. You've got to put in for them every year, so you've got to maintain those standards and in fact improve upon them. But there's been no extra money thrown at this to win these awards. We basically had the basic product already there. It was a case of smartening up on it, looking at finer detail, having a proper management plan in place. Those are the sort of things that we're able to achieve it. Okay.
Going slightly off on a tangent here, but the work on the promenade's about to start, and I know you've got boxes, for instance, just there where the people get off the packet, and that's their first impressions. It's going to be quite a messy impression, isn't it, for the next year?
It is. I mean, we welcome the start to Douglas Promenade works, don't get me wrong, and this is the first phase. It's a 1.8 million scheme from the sea terminal round to the Jubilee Clock. It will actually see the Jubilee Clock being moved by about 8 metres as well, so that whole area is going to be reconfigured. The planters you're talking about outside the sea terminal will in fact disappear. So this is the last season anybody's going to see them, because the rotten old rusty railings are going to go as well. So we're trying to, I think what government and the council are trying to do is reduce the amount of street clutter in part of its regeneration schemes as well, because it clutters the town up. It needs maintaining in the future. Funds are going to be tight, so having rusty railings and posts doesn't really match in with what we're achieving here. So no, they will go, but I think we've got to look at the bigger picture.
Sure. A little pain for more gain.
Yes, I mean, you can't make an omelette without cracking a few eggs, and that's really going to be the case with Douglas Promenade. I mean, in all fairness, this is the easy part that's going to be done. Yes, there's going to be some traffic disruption, and we've got disruption around the town with 2 other major big schemes at the moment, but when we really hit the promenade roadway itself, the possible relocation of the horse trams, that is going to be major works and major disruption. But I think everybody you talk to turns around and said the promenade roadway at the moment is in an appalling condition. It really is desperate. I mean, you go over to Queen's Promenade and there's areas off the roadway that you'd expect to find in Eastern Europe, not on Douglas Promenade.
The Bosnian Highway, as it's been referred to in the past.
I'm sure it has, but again, it's going to come down to money as well. I think the money that's been identified up to now in the Green Book is something about £12 million, and I think that's going to take it up to around the Ville Marina area, so there's still more money going to have to be found to go along Queen and Central's Promenade.
Okay, well, we're talking about 10 years' time. I think it's something like that, isn't it? The full event, if we're still here in 10 years?
Well, I hope we're still here in 10 years. I think what we've got to look at is if the economy is starting to turn around and the UK is starting to send out some positive signals at the moment. I'm hearing on the island that growth's a little bit higher than what was expected. Obviously, we've got the rebalancing because of the VAT bombshell that hit the island, but I'm hoping that it will be recognised that if we get the capital of man right, the rest of the island will follow, and that's why I've been a strong supporter of the regeneration through the town centre. That's why we support the promenade scheme. But all of that is all well and good, but you need schemes like what we achieve here in our parks and gardens. we got this award as well because the community's been involved in us, how they use our parks and gardens. The signs of good parks and gardens says a town is thriving, it's moving forward. So this is all just part of the bigger picture, and we say to people, bear with us through the major works, come out and enjoy the likes of these lovely areas. It'll take your mind off the works that's going on in the street at the moment.